For decades, the password was the front door of the internet. It was built for a much smaller, simpler digital world, serving as a basic system of trust. But today, that front door is under constant, relentless siege. The invisible systems powering our internet are undergoing a massive, fundamental shift right now. We are going to unpack exactly why the era of typing a secret phrase into a little text box is coming to an end, and look at the invisible architecture that is rising up to replace it.
Think about it. Passwords were originally built as a tool to protect us. But as the internet grew infinitely more complex, that very tool became severely strained. It was pushed way past its limits by the sheer volume of digital accounts we all manage today and the incredibly sophisticated ways those accounts are targeted. The system is no longer just an inconvenience. It has fundamentally become the weakest link in our entire cybersecurity chain. To really understand the danger here, we have to talk about what security experts call the blast radius. You see, our digital lives are entirely interconnected now. A password isn't just protecting some isolated random message board anymore. One weak login can compromise your email, your bank accounts, your workplace network, your cloud storage, and even your private medical portals. If just one key falls into the wrong hands, the blast radius can literally devastate your entire digital identity. So we have to ask a difficult question. What happens when the underlying system holding all of this together is so incredibly fragile? The real problem with passwords isn't just that human beings have a hard time remembering them. The real danger is that attackers know exactly how humans use them. And this brings us to the hidden system operating right behind that login box, the invisible infrastructure that's desperately trying to keep this fragile system from collapsing entirely. When you look at a login screen, you probably just see a simple text box. But that's a total illusion. We need to completely redefine what's actually happening in that moment. Authentication is no longer just a digital door lock, it is a highly complex identity system. Behind every single login attempt is an invisible chain of identity checks, risk signals, session evaluations, and device verifications. Let's break down those invisible steps to see just how much actually happens behind the scenes in a matter of milliseconds. First, there's the user input. That's your claim of who you are. Second, device verification kicks in to check if the hardware you are using is actually recognized. Third, the server checks those credentials against its database. And finally, a rapid risk analysis takes place, evaluating the context, your location, and your session history. All of this computation acts as a massive safety net, simply because that very first step, the password, is so inherently vulnerable. So just how vulnerable is that first step? Well, the numbers are pretty shocking. According to the Microsoft Digital Defense Report 2025, a staggering 97% of identity attacks are what we call automated password spray attacks. Let that sink in, 97%. Attackers aren't sitting at keyboards trying to guess your pet's name one by one. They're using highly automated software to test millions of common passwords against thousands of accounts simultaneously. It is an industrial-scale operation. And the reason these attackers are so incredibly successful is that human behavior itself is the vulnerability. Hackers don't always need to break complex, math-heavy encryption. They simply exploit our daily habits. Because our memories are limited, we reuse passwords. We choose weak ones. Reusing a password across different websites is exactly like using the exact same physical key for your house, your car, your office, and your bank vault. If an attacker copies it once, they have the keys to your entire life. And then there's the psychological manipulation aspect of it all. Phishing remains one of the absolute most dangerous threats on the modern internet. Think of a phishing attack like a fake front desk at a corporate building. It looks totally official. It has the right logos, the exact right colors, and the person behind the desk politely asks for your keys. Because it looks entirely legitimate, humans are very easily tricked into typing their reusable secrets into these manipulated login flows, literally handing them directly over to the attacker. Now, you might be thinking, well, this is exactly why I use multi-factor authentication, and you're right to use it, but this brilliantly illustrates the next evolution of the problem. Standard multi-factor authentication, like getting a 6-digit code sent to you via text message, absolutely adds protection, but it is not a silver bullet. Standard MFA can still be socially engineered or bypassed completely if an attacker manages to steal your active session tokens. To truly fix the root problem, the cybersecurity industry is shifting toward phishing-resistant MFA, which makes the login physically harder to trick. Which brings us to a massive turning point in digital history. If forced password complexity doesn't actually work, and if standard MFA can still be bypassed by a cleverly disguised fake front desk, what on earth replaces them? How do we build a completely new system where your most important secret never even has to be shared in the first place? The answer lies in an invisible cryptographic solution that completely changes the architecture of trust. Enter the passkey. This is the modern, phishing-resistant answer to the password problem. A passkey is built on FIDO standards and utilizes public key cryptography. But the most important security concept here isn't just that you're using your thumbprint instead of typing a word. The absolutely crucial idea is that the reusable secret is completely removed from the login flow. There is nothing to intercept, and there is literally nothing you can be tricked into typing into a fake website. Let's use an analogy to make this crystal clear. A traditional password is like a key you have to say out loud every single time you want to enter a building. Anyone standing nearby listening can just copy it. A passkey, on the other hand, is mathematical proof that you own the key, without ever actually handing the key to the door. You have a private key safely locked deep inside your device, and the website only holds a public lock. You cryptographically prove that they match without ever transmitting the secret itself over the internet. So here is how passkeys actually work in the background to create a seamless, invisible experience. Step 1. Local device unlock. You use a PIN, your fingerprint, or a face scan. Step 2. Cryptographic proof. Your device uses that local unlock to authorize a complex mathematical proof with the server. Step 3. Access is granted. And what's truly incredible here is that your biometrics, your actual face scan, or your fingerprints stay completely on your local device. They are never, ever shared with the website you are logging into. So if the math is foolproof, if it removes the phishing risk entirely, and if all of the major tech organizations are backing it, why are passwords still literally everywhere? Well, we have to look at the reality of the internet as it exists today. You can't just flip a giant switch and upgrade decades of digital infrastructure overnight. There are real-world friction points that are naturally slowing down this transition. Let's look at the massive bottlenecks preventing an overnight switch. First, we have legacy systems. There are millions of older databases and applications out there that are hard-coded to expect a text-based password. Second is account recovery. If their identity is tied to the physical secure chip in your phone, what happens when you accidentally drop that phone in a lake? Establishing secure, foolproof recovery processes is highly complex. And finally, enterprise migration. Companies with thousands of employees and vastly mixed login environments face a huge logistical challenge to update their entire security posture. But despite these very real bottlenecks, the timeline of digital identity is moving in one undeniable direction. In the early days of the web, we relied entirely on passwords. In the 2010s, standard MFA became the necessary band-aid. Now, in the 2020s, FIDO passkeys are gaining massive uptake. In fact, official frameworks like the NIST Digital Identity Guidelines, specifically SP 800-63-4, reflect this exact move. They are officially guiding the industry away from forced password complexity, which we know harms usability, and moving toward these better, phishing-resistant systems by default. So realistically, what actually changes next? We're entering what you could call the hybrid future. Passwords are not going to completely vanish by next year. You're likely still going to see them for older services or less critical systems, but they are going to become far, far less central to our daily lives. High-value targets like your bank, your primary email account, and your digital identity hubs are rapidly moving to passkeys as the default standard. The traditional login box, as we know it, will slowly fade into the background. Ultimately, what we're looking at is a fundamental shift in cybersecurity philosophy. For decades, our security relied completely on human memory. We expected normal people to act like perfect machines, remembering dozens of complex, randomized strings of characters. The future is all about safety by design. We are moving away from remembering secrets and moving towards safely proving identity using the powerful devices we already carry in our pockets. It's about fixing the underlying system rather than constantly blaming the user for being human. And that brings us to our final thought. The next era of the internet requires an architecture of trust that doesn't just shatter because someone made a simple human mistake. As we integrate these invisible, highly advanced cryptographic protections into our daily lives, we are finally securing our digital front doors the right way. In the end, the absolute strongest password may just be the one you never have to type. The real question is, how long until your last password finally disappears forever?